You can do this. I believe in you. No, I don't. Anyway, somebody requested a tutorial, and they deserve that tutorial. I'm probably not someone who should ever be giving a tutorial, but I'm going to do it anyway, because why not? Alright, so this is going to be a head turn tutorial in Kakani. I don't even know what to say. Let's just get started. Alright, so first thing you're going to need to do is draw your head. I'm using a mouse right now. I usually use a tablet, but I'm sure more of you are going to have mouses than tablets. Just use whatever. I don't think it really matters that much. And as you can see, some of these aren't connected. That's okay. We're going to fix it later. We're going to fix that later too. Basically, if anything looks weird, we're going to fix it later. Well, I mean, not everything, but... Hey, I have like 3 subscribers. What do you want from me? Maybe I should just shut up. That would be great, wouldn't it? That wasn't supposed to happen. So what I did there was I accidentally connected it to the wrong line. Don't do that. That's a bad thing. Control-Z that shit. That's awkward. Yeah, if you ever make a mistake, just Control-Z. It's faster than trying to get it right the first time. Whoever gets anything right the first time? I sure don't. If any of you say you do, you're lying. That also looks awkward. Damn it. Okay, you know what? That is close enough. So what we're going to do now is we're going to clean up. Look at all these little dots here. These are gaps. You don't want them in most places. You kind of need them in some places. Use your head. I know you have one. At least I hope you have one. So with the cleanup tool, just draw a circle around every gap and the place you want it to connect to. Well, I mean, not every gap. I mean, as you can see, we're leaving some of them. Wait. Missed one. Actually, what I probably should have done first was draw the implied line that's going to be here and here. I'll do that right now. Okay, and there's our first frame. Hardly perfect, but you're not coming to a channel with like 3 subscribers for perfect. Okay, so what you want to do now is you want to go to this little green thing here and then add a new frame to the right. And then you draw your second keyframe. And do not use the implied line. That would be great. Ideally, you want to sketch out your keyframes prior to trying to animate them in Kakani, but that's just not what we're doing here, is it? No, it's not. You can see that. I'll shut up now. Did it again. and it'll do that sometimes. I don't know why. It says ambiguous stroke direction, but every time I've tried it, it seemed to know which direction the stroke was supposed to be going, so no clue. And there's your second keyframe. All you have to do now is close these gaps. I'm well aware that many of these are not pretty, and at the moment I don't really care. Like I said, you should probably be drawing your keyframes prior to what is happening there. I'll ignore that for now. Yeah, you want to draw your keyframes prior to actually trying to animate them into Kakani and then import that later. I can do another tutorial on that if you guys really want it. Okay, so what you do now is you can click these little buttons, add new tweet frame to the right, but you can also just click and drag this for however long you want. You'll get this little box, and you can just select add blank in between frames. And then you go over to timing, if I can find it, and then you can either select uniform, accelerate. Make sure you hit this little apply button because otherwise it, like, you'll see. You can select accelerate, decelerate, accelerate and then decelerate, or decelerate and accelerate. Now I'm sure that's very confusing now, but you'll see what that does in a moment. So if you hit accelerate, hit apply, and then generate, it'll look like this. If you hit decelerate, apply, and then generate, it'll look more like this. Slightly different. If you hit accelerate, then decelerate, apply, and generate, it'll look more like this. And if you're doing an anime style, you probably want your keyframe, you probably want your frames per second to not be 24 frames per second, at least for a head turn like this. If you're doing this awesome battle scene, then go right ahead with the 24 frames per second, but if they're just talking, 12 frames per second is usually good. And hopefully you can more easily see the difference between... I'm going to go through them again. Sorry for wasting all of your time. I'll probably just cut this out later. As you can see, accelerate starts out slightly slower and then accelerates. Decelerate will start out faster and then decelerate. So you can probably guess what the other two do. This one seems to have slightly more motion. I like this one more. Just in general. Though of course you really want to pick whatever fits, but... So as you can notice, there are a lot of gaps here. You don't want these, clearly. So we've cleaned up the gaps here, we've cleaned up the gaps here, but the gaps aren't clean here. What you gotta do is you go out to Tools and retain stroke connections. Keep T-junction finished, and there are less gaps now. Not sure what that one's doing. So what you can do now is you can go to color, select the paint bucket, and then just fill in the colors. For most characters, you're probably going to want to have your colors picked out beforehand when you're actually designing the character, but this is a quick tutorial. We're not getting into character design and stuff. I can do another tutorial on that later if you guys really want me to, though. I imagine after this train wreck you do not. So clearly, we've only colored one frame. The rest of them are still uncolored. Really awkward looking. So what we do is we go to auto coloring, replace existing colors, and then auto color the other frames. This can result in disaster, potentially. I hope not. Damn it! Something went wrong at some point. What is that line doing? I really don't know what I did there. Damn it, this worked before. Wait. Who tells me that's not supposed to do that? So this seems to be an issue with line direction, or one line doubling back when it really shouldn't be. What is this line doing? Yeah, after fixing an issue like that, you really want to regenerate the in-betweens. And it's not actually fixed because the line is facing the wrong direction, I imagine. Yep. So with an issue like this, you gotta right-click it and then change direction. And it fixes it. Go back to Tools, Retain Stroke Connections, and now you can auto-color the other frames. See? Works. This is still here looking awkward, but that will not show up in export. So what you gotta do now that you've got your head turn, is you gotta go up to File, Export Video, and I know this looks incredibly complicated, and I promise you there's someone out there who understands it. That someone is not me, though. I have no idea what I'm doing. I am not someone who should be making tutorials. I save everything to my desktop because why not? And you can rename this as long as you don't mess with the file extension. So we're going to change this to Anita, because that's the character's name. I already had the character. I cheated. I'm sorry. Save. And that's where the director goes, file name. Okay, yeah, I did that the complicated way. I didn't really need to. So, I mean, this much is obvious. This is also obvious. Audio none. I don't know what this does. I don't know what a lot of these do. I think it's good enough, though, so we're going to export it. Doom be upon us all. Okay, it's working. So, we've exported the video, and that means this tutorial is over. I'm sorry. Anyway, if you want to hear more of my annoying voice, subscribe. If you actually liked the video, make sure to give it a like, and if you actually want to add the video to a playlist or something, go right ahead and do that. As always, feedback is much appreciated. I clearly need it. Bye.